What is going on, guys? Inside New York Sports Podcast, and today we have some news and some rumors for the New York Giants. But before we get into that, leave a like and subscribe to the channel on the road to 400 subscribers. Let's get right into the video. And the first player that I want to talk about is Sonny Styles to the New York Giants, potentially in the NFL draft, right? We all know the Giants have the number 5 overall pick in this year's draft, and there's been a lot of different players rumored to the New York Giants of where John Harbaugh sits with this team, where does Joe Schoen sit with this team, and obviously the front office as a whole and the scouting department. But Sonny Styles, before I get into that, Dan Duggan has reported that it is expected that Bobby Okereke will be cut this offseason, and that will open up $9 million in cap space. Obviously, the Giants have other ways they can create cap space, such as restructuring contracts. We just saw Dallas do that to save some money. Obviously, the Chiefs opened up a ton of money with restructuring Patrick Mahomes' contract. The Giants can do that as well, restructuring Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and other contracts as well. Okereke was a good linebacker. I liked Okereke. I felt like after that big season he had in, 2022 or something like that, he kind of, I wouldn't say taking a step back. I still think he's a top linebacker in the NFL. I do. I still think he's a very solid linebacker. I think just where the price is, and maybe if you want to say the decline of Bobby Okereke's play, I think there were some times people were complaining about his coverage or anything. I mean, we all complain about how players play sometimes, but I feel like a big name was Bobby Okereke this season around the Giants fan base. That's not saying me. I thought Bobby Okereke was a good player. And cutting him obviously saves $9 million, and they can do that a whole different ways. They could add depth. They can, they could do a bunch of different things. But the other big thing is that John Harbaugh wants to really revamp this roster. I feel like he's going to see a lot of players, and he's going to have tough conversations with him and front office about cutting them, trading them, releasing them. You get it. And I think Bobby Okereke is one of those players, right? Harbaugh wants elite linebackers and elite secondary. Obviously, also an elite run defense. That was a few questions that was at the Combine for Joe Schoen and John Harbaugh is how are they going to fix this run defense? And the biggest thing is that they have to, because they've been a bottom rush defense for a lot of the time. Not even just in the Dable era, in the Joe Judge era, et cetera, et cetera. But the big thing about Sonny Styles, this guy is a freak athlete. I tell you what, at 6'5", the same height as Calvin Johnson, he ran a 4.46 40-yard dash. That is the same as Bijan Robinson. And we all know the player that Bijan Robinson is, the running back for the Atlanta Falcons, who is poised for another big season. Their team got a new head coach as well, but Bijan is a beast, I tell you what. And if that's as a linebacker, tackling, tackles for loss, getting to the quarterback, I want that guy. I do. He had the same broad jump as Julio Jones. This guy is just a freak. He is currently listed as 3 pounds lighter than Derrick Henry. So everybody always asks, I feel like a question is like, can you tackle Derrick Henry? Now let's flip it, and now you have Sonny Styles as your linebacker, who is essentially Derrick Henry with the same height as Calvin Johnson. Same speed as Bijan Robinson coming after you, tackling you. I kind of want that guy on my team, and if it means cutting Bobby Okereke to select Sonny Styles, I'm pretty open to it. Gets younger, rookie contract, etc. And I do think they are going to bring back Micah McFadden. I do think that. I know he's had some injury history with the New York Giants. Obviously, he had a major injury in the Washington game that set him out for the rest of the season. But I do like bringing back Micah McFadden as well, because I even felt like when Bobby Okereke and McFadden were on the field at the same time, they were solid. I thought they were a pretty solid duo. But another smokescreen around the NFL is, are the Giants selecting Jeremiyah Love, running back from Notre Dame? We all know that Jeremiyah Love is a stud. We all know that. From Notre Dame, this guy was an elite running back for them. And some are, even considering this is like a Saquon Barkley type pick, when the Giants are trying to build in other areas, but they decide to take the running back because they want to. Because he's a star talent, he will be an elite add to the offense. I can't lie. I mean, if you bring in Jeremiyah Love. I would assume Tyrone Tracy gets traded, and Cam Scadaboo is your running back too. So it would be a fun ad. I 100% agree with that. And I also would expect just in general, even if they don't select Jeremiyah Love, that they're going to cut Devin Singletary. I don't see how they have a third running back on the depth chart who you can cut and you could save, I believe, around $5 million. So from Okereke and Singletary as cut candidates, you save $14 million like that. But I do ultimately think this is just a smokescreen. I think teams aren't really even buying the Giants taking a running back. They probably see either Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, which gets into our next topic. Sonny, do you want to select both Ohio State defenders, obviously? And I tell you what, you look at the Ohio State class outside of the number one pick, you could maybe see a chance where 3 Ohio State players get drafted. I think Arvell Reese can go to the Jets. Maybe the Carnell Tate jumps up the board and gets selected by the Tennessee Titans, maybe. The Giants could select Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, right? So a lot of Ohio State Buckeyes getting drafted in the top 5 for sure. But getting into the reasons for Sonny Styles, right? You get an elite linebacker. You cut Bobby Okereke. You bring in an elite young talent who's 6'5", runs super fast, gets tackles, has a missed tackle rate of 2.2%. So usually the Giants are a team that doesn't know how to tackle well. Sonny Styles completely blows that narrative. He can tackle and tackle an elite rate. He's a freak athlete, obviously, and using elite linebacker help can help out everything. Your run defense, your coverage, everything. Now, the reasons for Caleb Downs is the secondary is a big part of this offseason. What do you do with Tyler Nubin? Javon Holland, after his first year in the 5-year contract, didn't necessarily play like the Javon Holland that we wanted him to. I think it's a scheme issue, and I think with this new defensive coordinator, Javon Holland is going to be a lot better. So I don't really worry about him too much. There's also, I feel like if you had to look at a need, either Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles, I think you can go with Caleb Downs because I do think there's some later round linebackers in this class that maybe aren't Sonny Styles, but they're still solid, right? Jacob Rodriguez is one of the names from Texas Tech that is getting a lot of attention. And there's other players as well that you can definitely select at the linebacker position and still get a good player in the second round. Now, one thing that I did want to add is, do the Giants potentially trade back from 5? I think there's a world where they do. I really do, because one of the big talking points is when they traded for Jackson Dart, they knew they were sacrificing a third-round pick going into this draft. They don't have a 2026 third, right? I feel like for what John Harbaugh wants to build, I wouldn't say wants to stack up on draft competition, but the more chances to select a player in this draft to make this team better immediately, I feel like that's what John Harbaugh wants, right? John Harbaugh is not a guy that usually picks in the top 5, right? He is not a guy. He is never in this spot because the guy wins. Either he didn't have much playoff success down the road or he did, right? I mean, the guy wins. That's the main story, and that's why you brought him in. And you brought him into a team that, you want to build a big culture and a winning culture as well. You want to win the division. You want to win the NFC. You want to, win a Super Bowl, right? That's the end of the goal. But despite the hype around John Harbaugh and the excitement, because let's be real, once they hired John Harbaugh, we immediately jumped out of our seats, excited, ready to start a new era and potentially a winning era, and then go into Sundays and saying that we have a chance and we have an opportunity to go 1-0, 2-0 on the season rather than our season end in October. I think one of the big things they can do is trade Kayvon Thibodeau for maybe an early second or a third. That's kind of what his asking price is. The Giants, this trade deadline, had a very high price tag for him. It was a first-round pick. They wanted to get a first-round pick for Kayvon Thibodeau. Obviously, no team budged. I think another idea they can do is trade like what the Jets just did with Jermaine Johnson and do a player-for-player trade. T'Vondre Sweat going to the New York Jets, a very solid defensive tackle that was, I believe, selected in the second round. And Jermaine Johnson, he knows what Robert Saleh wants. He is a very solid player, I think, and he was kind of the odd man out. Now, really, the only player left is, I guess, Garrett Wilson, I guess, for them. But speaking of the Giants, they do have Abdul Carter and Brian Burns. They can keep Thibs, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with keeping Kayvon Thibodeau because of the fact he's still a solid player, and I think he's still growing as a player. I think, with his new defensive coordinator, I think it changes a lot of players and how they're going to play. And I think Kayvon Thibodeau can definitely benefit. Obviously has to stay healthy, but I still think when you have Burns, Carter, and Kayvon attacking the quarterback all on the same team, I think that's pretty beneficial. Now, I think there is also a world where you'd want to get something out of him. But I feel like also you can play him out this year and just get a compensatory pick. If you do end up playing him this year, letting him walk next year, not getting anything out of him. The final thing I wanted to talk about is kind of dating back to the running back. The Giants are interested in Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne. They're trying to upgrade at that position. I'm still confident it is a smoke screen. I'm not doubting that. I think adding Kenneth Walker is interesting. Travis Etienne, interesting. Drafting Jeremiyah Love, I don't really buy it. You have Cam Scatterbo. You have Tyrone Tracy. If you want to cut Devin Singletary and let's just say sign a veteran backup to a 1 year, 2, maybe $3 million, I'd be all right with it. But I don't need us spending a lot of money on a running back. We need to focus on building this offensive line to an elite unit for a second straight season, building up the defensive line, DBs, secondary, everything. Cornerbacks, everything, right? The whole secondary. But I think there's a world where they can maybe draft a running back later in the draft. I think they have 2 6th-round picks, so maybe you want to take a shot. You took a shot at a 4th-round Cam Scatterbo. That worked out pretty well for you so far in his rookie season. Tyrone Tracy has given you great seasons back-to-back. I think he doesn't get enough credit for how he plays as well. I feel like I get it. He gets a good amount of carries, but I also think he's pretty impactful. He's a former wide receiver. He can catch the ball well, and I think he runs well, and I think he's continuing to get better each season. And I think overall you kind of want a player like that maybe isn't as flashy and, isn't like a Cam Scatterbo who's going to run through your face, but he hits the holes well. I think he's a solid running back overall. But anyways, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. Who do you guys want in the draft? Do you want Caleb Downs? Do you want Sonny Styles? Do you want Jeremiyah Love? I mean, I think that'd be an unpopular pick for a lot of people if you said it to a lot of Giants fans. But I wouldn't put it past it. Some Giants fans actually might want Jeremiyah Love. I don't want Jeremiyah Love. I think he's a very solid player, but we need to address other positions such as linebacker, such as safety help. And I think the Giants are going to be a better team in 2026. I said it in multiple other years, but I truly think with John Harbaugh and this coaching staff and this front office, I think I'm going to see a lot of major changes, and I'm going to see a better New York Giants team on the field next season for week 1. But anyways, guys, that is rumors for the New York Giants. This is Inside New York Sports Podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe, like, and leave a comment as always. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.